Welcome to the Andy Staples Show. It's a very, very special day because Nicole Auerbach, the host of Power Hour, is joining us. She's not got any SAT questions for Ari Wasserman that we know of. We do have Taylor Swift lyric trivia coming up later in the show.
The only thing I could possibly be worse at than SAT questions?
I don't know if that's possible.
Well, you'll find out here in a minute.
I mean, Nicole's going to own this.
You know who would actually own this? Grace Rayner. So depending on whatever my score is, we need to have Grace on to see if she can equal or succeed it.
Yes. Well, today's theme is burning questions. We're going to ask some college football questions, kind of hit everybody's areas of expertise. But one thing I've thought about is as you guys know, you listeners don't know this, but we have a gathering of the athletic folks in Chicago coming up. And you know who also lives in Chicago is Dan Rubenstein, who is potentially the greatest yet to be hired game show host who ever lived. We've got to figure out how to get Dan to host a game show involving all of the whole podcast feeds characters. So the three of us, Vanini, Max Olson, like we need to do teams, Family Feud style or Newlywed Game style. Like we got to figure it out.
That would be. Well, I know for sure that I'm going to his house to have pizza. Like that's already been.
I was gonna say, can we also have him make us pizza for this?
Because he sends me texts every Friday of pizza slices, like without question. And
I've had them.
Yeah, I saw you went, and I told him I'm coming to Chicago, and like I will miss meetings. I will break appointments. I'm going one way or the other. I hope some of my friends will come with me. But if not, it's a solo mission. It's like one of those girls that you met on Tinder and I've been texting for 2 years and you finally get to go out with her. That's how it feels like.
I'm sorry. I got married when people dating online were getting chopped up by the other person. So like I can't
wait for Dan's reaction to being called a Tinder date. This is going to be awesome.
I told him this. Well, I said it to him already. He knows.
Nicole, you weren't on the show the other day with Max Olson, but I did call the spring transfer portal window 2 a.m. at the bar. So we're heading that direction in the show anyway.
Listen, it's a catfish scenario. He's sending me all these beautiful pictures of pizza. We have discussions about it. You know, we connect, and now I'm going up to see if it's real. You know, I think it's a good analogy.
I'm pretty sure it's real. The man rented a van and drove us around Los Angeles to eat tacos. So
it hasn't been in my mouth yet, so it's not real to me. So we're gonna do a taste test, and I'm gonna be honest with him. I can't wait. I'm very excited. I'm so excited to see you guys in person. Don't take this the wrong way, but I'm more excited to eat his pizza. I think.
I've had it. I've had it, and it's worth it. It really is, and it's like
he's gonna make me a tavern style. He's going to make me tavern style, Detroit style, and hand tossed.
What? I've had the thin crust and I've had the Detroit style. They're all delicious. I realized he was serious about this just because I know we're going to be talking about this once Ari eventually eats this. I knew he was serious when his wife told me that he got a cheese distributor. I was like, okay, that's like, she was like fielding phone calls from his cheese guy. And I was like, that's a different level. That's a different level. And you know what? It makes a big difference. It's delicious.
Cheesemonger. I believe you call a cheese person a cheesemonger, which is.
I'm bringing a check.
I've always wanted to be some kind of monger, like not a hate monger, but you know, a cheesemonger would be fantastic.
I'm bringing a blank check. I don't know if it overdrafts my accounts. I'm investing in the eventual, because the idea that he has is tremendous. Like creating that Blockbuster Friday night feel. You know, red cups, arcades, that old Pizza Hut type feel, combined with good pizza.
Just $1 million Italian dressing from the salad bar. That Pizza Hut creamy Italian was special. It was unbelievable.
I mean, honestly, we do see all those memes on Instagram, right? Of like, this is peak of life. Like it's Friday night. You're going to Blockbuster. You got your popcorn. You got GoldenEye on N64 fired up and a pizza on the way, and it's like that was the peak of life. I honestly, those were the nights. I don't know.
This is perfect for a Friday show, by the way. This is ideal.
There was no better feeling than walking into Blockbuster, wandering around, finding a movie that you liked, and they actually had it, and you could rent it. That was.
Do you remember the smell? All Blockbusters smelled the same.
Well, apparently the last Blockbuster in the world that's in Bend, Oregon, has that smell.
That's incredible. Because even
bottle it
the
up.
boxes, like the VHS clamshell boxes, that you would open them at home and you'd smell that smell.
Yeah.
I don't know how they did that, but it was amazing.
Yeah.
So if
I've actually thought about
Oregon,
going. I've been thinking about going if I'm ever up in that area. But then it's like also such a letdown because A, I don't have a DVD player anymore. And B, like it's like you can't even capture it even if you want to because there's no use for it anymore. Like no matter how you think about it, there is no use for a Blockbuster anymore. And it would be cool if there was something that if there was a thing that it could do for you that was outside of nostalgia still.
It would be
value in nostalgia.
I know we've talked a lot about like the CW and Ion TV. Mm-hmm. Wouldn't it be awesome if Blockbuster got the Pac-12 rights?
Whoa! How can we make this happen?
A Blockbuster deal?
Oh, that's John Oren's just like typing right now.
Bring it back.
What about Redbox? I mean, the whole Redbox, like their main physical thing is passing into obsolescence, but they did start streaming service.
How is that even
could you put the Pac-12 on the Redbox streaming service?
The Redbox thing also doesn't make any sense to me. Who are these people that have DVD players? I don't even know.
There are millions of people.
Well, I still have one. I just discovered this. I moved across town this past week and saw a black box near all of my cords, near my, my modem and everything. And yeah, I was like, wow. I still own. I have the entire series of Seinfeld on DVD. I have the 2 seasons of Sports Night, and I have Ted Lasso people sent out like a swag box thing after season 1 in advance of season 2. So I have season 1 of Ted Lasso on DVDs. So that is my DVD collection right now. So I'm feeling
that's
like
pretty cool. That might be a collector's item. The Ted Lasso thing.
I know. I mean, I'm like,
do they still make DVDs of new videos? Like of a new movie? Do they still make them?
I don't know.
Yeah, they do.
Like Air's going to come out on DVD soon.
None of these people.
Oh, that's good. By the way, if you have not listened or watched that.
Oh yeah, we got it. You guys have both seen it. I still need to see it. My kid tried to see it and got turned away with his buddy because they're like, it's R-rated. I'm like, why is it R-rated? So they went.
I don't even know why.
Nicole, is it really?
Something happened in there that would be R-rated? Yeah. I don't know that anything even happened.
Just the language? No.
2 F-bombs or more gets you an R rating. So
is that really what it is?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's crazy. See, look at Steve Larkin's suggestion. They should show Pac-12 games exclusively in movie theaters. Could you imagine?
That would be
be sick, wouldn't it? Like if you want to watch
so good.
USC, UCLA, you have to go to a movie theater and pay for a movie ticket.
No,
that would be badass.
You're going to watch USC, UCLA on
that's the Big Ten
NBC
network.
or CBS. Fox.
Yeah, it's the exact
the territorial
opposite.
Cup in the movie theater.
Yes. It's the Civil War. We're going to the movies to watch Oregon.
I legitimately think that could work. Like if you could somehow get people to buy tickets to go and then like create a stadium like atmosphere in the movie theater, I would do that.
It could work for big games, maybe SEC Big Ten games.
Big time games.
Like let's say it's Ohio State at Michigan. You have a theater in Columbus that shows the game. You could definitely sell tickets.
You could have a theater anywhere, like a theater in Seattle for the Ohio State-Michigan game. The only way that people in Seattle can watch that game is by going to a local movie theater. Could you imagine? And they charge $50 a ticket.
This would have this is the same problems as the Pac-12 networks and the fact that it would be very hard to see this and to find it. And you do have the likelihood that someone would illegally stream it on a periscope on their foot, with their foot in the Oklahoma
Army game.
But you would have the positive of that it would be a big deal and a big experience, and it would feel more special because you're going to a movie theater to watch.
Especially now with those draft house movie theaters. Like now that they have beer and food and popcorn.
All right, I have a better idea because you're driving the college football business into the ground by not allowing Ohio State, Michigan to be shown in Seattle. So how about Alamo Draft House shows the Kick 6 game? An Alamo Draft House in Atlanta shows the Kick 6.
I mean, I guess that could work, but there was something special that's...
I don't think they have those in Atlanta, but that type
sitting
of theater.
next to a stranger who may have a different rooting interest than you.
I agree.
No Alabama fans are going to the Kick 6 game. So don't worry about that.
No, I'm just talking about live.
No,
What about the?
it's kind of. I know what Ari's saying. It would be an experience if there's no other way to watch it, but
Yeah.
it would also be like, especially for the Pac-12. Are we really doing that at 2 a.m. Eastern? Like that would be a challenge. But I will
People stand
say,
outside for Star Wars for 72 hours to get a ticket to the movie theater. So I mean, I don't know, maybe.
I would say that on the idea of playing classic games, that reminds me of like every movie theater that exists in every college town. They all have one that plays all these beloved movies, and you do a special. You play them for a week or two, and it's on the marquee, and then you sub them out and you play different ones. I actually really love that.
And milkshakes. It's
I really
also
love
a
that
cereal
idea.
bar. There we go. Got it. We can do this. We can make this happen.
We could do this one. We could do.
Could I do this in Gainesville? Because there is a theater, or was a theater, that is abandoned right now. It was a 4-theater movie theater. It was the one that was kind of attached to the mall. It's just next to the mall. And I don't believe anybody's in there right now. Could I retrofit that? Make it like a cereal milkshake bar and show games that Florida actually wins from the 90s and people come.
Do it.
I like that.
Do it. And if you do it in a specific college town, you could also play classic games where FSU loses or Miami loses. People might come.
Listen, I got it.
Okay. All right.
It's not the only way that you can watch it, but what if you opened up a movie theater or a movie theater type scenario, and it was basically a sports bar where you had plush seating, and it's kind of like a Vegas sports book where you have big seating, you have waiters and waitresses, and then you put a sports book out in the lobby in the places that it's legal to, and people can come and pick what game they want to go watch and bet on the games in the lobby, buy at the snack bars.
Isn't that just a sports book? That is a sports book. You just invented the concept of a sports book.
Yeah, but there aren't very many sports books in Wichita, but you also, in the sports book, you have all the games.
Theater seating and like a
theater seating.
Room.
That's what the sports books have now.
I know, but sports books sometimes will put some of the games on in the corner without the volume. It's a 12 theater, there's 24 theater, and whatever game you want to watch,
audio
you can pick your own game. What if you could pick your own audio? I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, in places where it's not Vegas. Also, the sports book's the greatest place on the face of the earth, and they are not everywhere.
Okay, question. If you're Buffalo Wild Wings, like there was always the thing where we said the tobacco companies are just waiting for marijuana to be legalized. They've got fields set aside. I don't know. I have no idea if that's actually true or not. But like, is Buffalo Wild Wings just sitting there going, well, when gambling's legal in every state, we're just going to turn Buffalo Wild Wings into sports books?
I mean, that's what it should do.
The issue here would be, what about people who want to watch a lot of games, who don't just want to watch one? But this is kind of the counter to our like worlds where we can't focus on things. So you could go into a movie theater and watch your one game and not.
I mean, there's also a bunch of movies that
phone
get released into theaters for people who don't want to watch it. The people just won't go. But like, how many seats are in a movie theater? 100? It's not like it's that much to sell out.
It's probably 200, 300. Yeah. I'm going to the Buffalo Wild Wings people with this. I want to see if they're ready to retrofit their restaurants into sports books.
I mean, also like too, it's like the fundamental
the next frontier
basis of like business, right? You have to be able to evolve and do something new when things change. Like, it doesn't Apple have a savings account now? Like, I mean, they're not a bank, but they're figuring it out.
The Goldman Sachs.
They got a credit card. I heard they have a. I don't know if this is true or not, but I thought I read somewhere this morning that they're opening up a savings account that pays 4.5%. So, yeah, I don't know. Why couldn't Buffalo Wild Wings take your tickets? You pay your bills with your winnings or whatever. But guys, I'm 2 for my last 18 right now, so I need any happy thoughts to get me through.
Ari needs a revenue stream.
Oh my God, I am getting crushed. Everything I bet's wrong. Everything.
Well, maybe time to take a break.
That's what my wife said. I said, I'll take a few days off. And she goes, a few days?
Is this all NBA playoffs, or is this
it's Major League Baseball, Korean, South Korean baseball, and NBA playoffs. Yeah.
All right. Well, we get some draft bets in for next week, and maybe that'll turn it around.
I've got one draft bet in. And if it's a
Anthony
really
Richardson, #1 overall.
Yes, and then I countered it by taking Bryce. I was convinced last Sunday that Anthony Richardson was going #1 overall for a minute, and I was getting 14-1.
Who
And I was like,
convinced you? We have a Panthers beat writer. You could have just called Joe Person.
yeah, I don't know.
We're also college football writers, and we just watched him play. Like, we should have a good sense of his skill
Listen, guys,
set.
He's going in the top
I'm good at betting
10,
on the draft, okay?
so
I'm good at betting on the
that
draft.
doesn't really match the play on the field.
Well,
And then I
okay,
bet
that's fair. That's
Bryce.
fair, Andy.
Yeah. Also, too, didn't
Okay.
Josh Allen's tape look just like his?
Not the year before. The last year it did.
Yeah. But okay,
right.
that's fair. That's fair, Ari. That's okay.
I think it makes a
get
lot
out
of
this
sense to
hole.
take it. I think it makes sense to take him number 1. I think that CJ Stroud probably has the lowest basement of the 3, but I think that Anthony Richardson has the highest ceiling. And I also don't believe, based on some of the research that I did of how many quarterbacks under 6 foot have been drafted, that Bryce Young's body I'd be afraid that he would be able to hold up long term. So like I could come up with a scenario where Anthony Richardson makes sense number 1. If you want to hit a home run with a big bodied freak that has tape that resembles Josh Allen, I could if you want to swing for the fences, I can understand that.
I'm still taking Bryce Young number 1 because I
Same.
watched him play football and he was better at football than the other people.
Didn't Bryce Young
Call me
have a hard
crazy.
time? Yeah. Okay.
Okay. All right. Guys,
we're trying to make
talking
Fletch happen,
business.
guys, and you got to just keep ruining it for me.
No, Fetch. We're trying to make Fetch happen, not Fletch.
Sorry,
Fletch
Fletch,
happened. Yeah. Then
Fletch
Fletch
did happen.
lived. Then Fletch won. Well, Fletch 1 was the first book. But all right, we were talking sports business. We were talking about our $1 million ideas. Speaking of sports business, I'm glad we've got Nicole on because you've talked about this on Power Hour quite a bit, but new Big Ten Commissioner Tony Petitti. What is his mandate? When he gets hired by the schools, when they bring him in, what do they say we want you to do over these first few years in office?
It's a good question because so many of these jobs, when they've turned over, it's been a very obvious number 1 priority, and it was a media rights deal, right? Like that's what Kevin Warren walked into. The Big Ten's deal was expiring. They needed a new one. The Pac-12, we are many months into this, but that is the main job for George Kliavkoff. And Brett Yormark got his extension done. So typically we've seen these changes like before a media deal needs to be negotiated because it's the person who's going to see that conference through that deal. So you don't have that issue because the short form contracts were already agreed to last summer. I have been told that, it does make a lot of sense to have someone with Tony's background because you do have to get all the way to that long form contracts, and it's going to take a lot of time and a lot of details. So having someone with a lot of media experience in different companies will help there. But I think the main priority is to handle and transition USC and UCLA into the Big Ten. We still have so many questions about how this is going to look for the 2 leagues that bring in the most money, that control a lot of power, but they're both going to be 16-team leagues as of next summer. How's that going to work? How is the schedule going to work? How are the logistics going to work? How are all the other sports going to work? And for the Big Ten, obviously, you have so many logistical challenges because now you're going from the Pacific to the Atlantic. So that's a lot to handle and to oversee. It's a lot of, everyone's talked about like it's integrating them into the conference. And that's a handful. That's going to take a lot of work. And then I think too, you just have someone who has a background in pro sports and media companies. So everything that's happening off the field, like these jobs they're 80-hour-a-week jobs. There's so much travel, but like everything that these commissioners touch is business related now. I mean, you obviously have these media deals. You have the legal issues that the leagues are facing, that the NCAA is facing. I can't open my emails one day without going with someone talking about employment status for athletes. And, or is there going to be collective bargaining? Like all of those macro issues he will probably be handling, right? Because if any of these come to a head here in the next couple of years, these are going to be the leaders who are going to respond to them and lead through them.
That's what I was wondering, because he's been a Major League Baseball executive. How much does that experience play into maybe dealing with something that looks more like what we look at as pro sports now?
I mean, I think that's why you are looking outside of sitting athletic directors and people working in college sports, right? Is those varied experiences. I'm sure that that's not like the main reason. I would think, the media experiences, the different innovative things he did with MLB Network,
He
for
helped
example.
create the BCS back in the day.
He helped create the BCS. He also, I was talking to a lot of folks in baseball, both at MLB Network and who just, kind of work in the baseball space. And a lot of the innovations and changes we've seen to the game were things that he's been pushing for, right? So I do think the idea of getting someone who's creative, who can see a couple steps ahead is really smart. But I do think like what you're describing is exactly part of the reason. If you hire someone who has pro sports experience, well, then they understand how the business of professional sports works. And not that other people don't know how it works, but you've lived it, you've experienced it. So whatever may come down the line, I think you have someone who's experienced with that. And so it's interesting because I really thought that they were going to stay inside of college sports. Like I thought the pendulum was going to swing back. And, you go outsider for one hire, you go back to a college sports insider. And that wasn't the case. But then you talk to people who know Tony and you talk to people around the Big Ten and you understand that it's just, this is the resume, this is the background that they feel the person who is going to be guiding this league through very uncertain times in the collegiate sports landscape should have all of these backgrounds, should have all of these experiences, because you don't know what's going to change with the relationship between an athlete and the school or an athlete in the conference.
We have a question for Miller in the chat. Will the new Big Ten commissioner add Oregon, Washington, and/or Stanford, Cal? It's always going to be a realignment question.
Of course. And this is one of the questions. Like when you get someone who comes from outside of college sports, we don't know exactly what their stances are in realignment or what they envision, right, for the future of a league. But I will say, like, we did know that what Kevin Warren wanted, right? We knew what he was envisioning, what he was pushing to do. And there wasn't that support through the conference, through the presidents and the schools. There wasn't that support from media partners to help pay for it. So I continue to just come back to the idea that if the Big Ten wanted those schools, they would have just done it in one fell swoop when they added USC, UCLA. No one was forcing them to only add 2 schools at that time. So I don't know. I don't, it's really hard. If anyone says anything very definitively about conference realignment, I don't always, I kind of tune it out because you just don't
Except that
know.
one guy in Minnesota who knew everything. That's about the only person I'd trust.
It's one of those things where, like, if someone were to challenge the ACC grant of rights and try to get out of that, then let's talk, right? Because those are schools that the Big Ten and the SEC both covet. But if Oregon and Washington have made it clear that they're interested, it doesn't mean that it's going to happen just because one side wants it to happen. So I just think it's TBD on realignment. I still think that the realignment focus is on the Big 12 and the Pac-12 and those dynamics that we've been covering for a long time. And that's really where it should be. But again, the ACC is the one where they could throw a wrench into the whole thing. That's where it would get interesting.
Well, we've got another question, and it feeds into something we were talking about earlier in the week, and we will ask it right after these words from our friends at Rhone. A lot of times when clothing companies come on board, they say, hey, can we send you some stuff so you can check it out and tell the listeners exactly how it feels? When Rhone came on board, I said, don't worry, I already got you covered. I've got 3 different commuter polos, and now I'm up to 5 versions of the commuter pants because, honestly, these are the best fitting polos I've ever worn, some of the best fitting pants I've ever worn, and they are perfect for this day and age. After the pandemic, we don't always have to go to the office. We don't even always have to wear pants for work, but we still need to get out of the house every once in a while. Sometimes we do need to work from an office. Rhone's commuter collection takes you effortlessly from the office to the golf course to the beach, back home, wherever you need to be. Men's closets were due for a radical reinvention, and Rhone stepped up to the challenge. Rhone's commuter collection is the most comfortable, breathable, and flexible set of products known to man. Rhone's comfortable 4-way stretch fabric provides breathability and flexibility that leaves you free to enjoy whatever life throws your way, whether it's commute to work, 18 holes of golf, hanging out at the bar with your friends. With Gold Fusion anti-odor technology, you'll be smelling fresh and clean all day long. And on top of that, this is a big one, Rhone is 100% machine washable. That's right. It goes through the wash, comes through the dryer. It's fantastic, holds up. you don't have to worry about, oh, I got to replace it after 5 washes. So if you want to experience the commuter collection for yourself, head to Rhone.com/staples and use the promo code STAPLES for 20% off your entire order. That's 20% off your entire order when you head to RHONE.com/staples and use the code STAPLES. It's time to find your corner office comfort. All right, guys. Our next burning question is something that Ari and I covered with Max Olson the other day, but I want to bring Nicole into this. Will we see another surprise in the transfer portal this spring? There's still some spring games to be played, so not everybody's wrapped up their spring practices. But the Bear Alexander transfer from Georgia, which I realize that's one, if you're not a Georgia fan or a recruitnik, that name may not mean as much to you, but everybody who really follows the sport understands that's a big deal, that him leaving is a big deal. So is there going to be another one that we're talking about next week, the week after that?
Are you leading us into the rumor that's all over the internet right now?
And
in our comments over here?
We can address it. It's in the comments. It's in the rumor that the rumor is Tyler Van Dyke from Miami potentially transferring to Alabama. We don't have any definitive information on that, so I'm not going to pretend we do. But that is the rumor floating around.
What you're saying, though.
Certainly count. Certainly.
Yeah. So I think I'll probably just say yes, because it's a crazy sport. And where was it going to be quiet for a month?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I guess a safe bet is probably yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Jordan Addison was later than this last year.
That was right on that May 1st deadline, because you have to transfer by May 1st to be immediately eligible. I think the odds are good, not just because of rumors floating around, but also just because we know that there's multiple schools that need quarterbacks, and like it's become apparent through spring games or through spring practices. And I just think that's where it's going to be. I mean, anything that's a quarterback with a name, where everyone's going to freak out about. And I think that's where, it's headed. I mean, so like, that's a position that you need to plug and fill right away. It's something that would turn heads, and it's something that I think would count for, you're saying, like a surprise, because again, we saw all of that movement back in December, and then to go through spring practice and then realize you're not the guy and to get out of there, that would be a shocker.
And I don't think a surprise would count if a loser of a quarterback battle enters, right?
No, but if somebody
it would just be somebody that falls out of the sky.
Yeah. But we might see that. And, and maybe somebody who's supposed to be the starter on a group of 5 team, because I thought Max did a really good story on the Appalachian State offensive lineman who realized, I'm going to be in very high demand if I pop into the portal right now. And there's a few offensive linemen in the group of 5 who figured that out. I think it's possible there may be some capable group of 5 starting quarterbacks who go, you know what? Auburn still might need somebody. I'm not sure if Florida feels like they need somebody or not. There's a couple other places where they might want more competition, or they want a guy. And
is there talk about Florida, Andy?
That coming off the spring game, I didn't get the sense that they feel an absolute need to get somebody. But I think if they felt like somebody's pretty good, that they would be interested to talk. I still think it's going to be Graham Mertz. It seemed like, he's been the guy all spring, and it's hard to come in after spring practice and then win a starting job and learn a new offense and all that. So I would think it's still going to be Graham Mertz for Florida. Auburn seems to be a little more kind of in the market.
Yeah. Did I tell you, was it this podcast or Stars Matter, when I saw Malik Murphy in person?
Yes, you said it on this podcast. You said tamper with this man. This is the guy you should be tampering with. And
I almost tripped over myself when I saw him.
He looked really good.
He looked really good in the game.
One
too,
throw
right?
to Jonte. Yeah. In the game he looked incredible. The one throw to Jonte Cook was amazing. And now, granted, that's our very limited look, but he was.
But the whole thing with Malik Murphy was that they recruited him knowing he was a raw athlete. Mm-hmm. So the fact of the matter is that if somebody were to come in, and this is all speculation, I'm not putting him in the portal, but I'm saying if I were a coach, this is like the Anthony Richardson college.
Yeah.
It'd be the same thing as a college going after Malik Murphy is the same thing as a NFL team drafting Anthony Richardson in the first round. It's like you fall in love with him. I could see why somebody would fall in love with him based on eye test, what I saw in the game. And he had only been playing football, I think, for a few years when he started getting recruited. So it's not like this is, really advanced into his football career. Like, so if he figures it out, like, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me at all. Wait, I don't know if I could say this without it being the clip on the thing, but it would not be the most shocking thing in the world if he won the battle next year, would it?
No, it wouldn't.
At Texas?
No, Arch Manning may need more time. He may not be ready to play as a starter in year 2 if Quinn Ewers is good and goes to the NFL. So I do want to. Tony in the chat is we mentioned that Tyler Van Dyke rumor, and he's like, well, he's not in the portal, so that's tampering. Can I? Well, we are in the circle of trust, right? Guys,
we're in the trust
every
tree.
time a high profile transfer happens, there was probably tampering. Let's not be precious about this.
The tree of trust.
Yes, exactly.
The tree of trust. I like that.
The trust tree. Isn't that from Meet the Parents?
It is.
But Andy, I mean, like, that's the thing that didn't change with the portal, right? Like, this is
right. That's not new. Yeah.
Some of the stuff that's happening now, people, blame on the portal or whatever, but it's like these things happen and we always hear coaches complain about them. They don't always name names, and this stuff is hard to prove. So there's really not like an incentive for people not to do it.
If you do it right, there's no way anybody can prove anything to you because you have your players do it. You have your players who know the guy do it. They feed the information back to the coaches, and then you can kind of figure it out. And you can talk to enough ancillary people around them, trainers, high school coaches, people who you'd call during the normal course of business anyway, and be like, oh, hey, by the way, how's so-and-so doing? Are they feeling good about that? Or are they maybe looking to make a move? Like, all of that stuff can be easily planted. And again, like you said, very difficult to prove, but let's not clutch our pearls about it. It's one, if the coaches actually cared about it, they'd tell their athletic directors to tell their school presidents to pass some rules that are, enforceable, have very strict punishments, and are enforced, but they don't because they don't want to stop tampering. So that's really the gist of it. All right, let's move on to burning question number 3. I like these actual on-field questions. We don't get a lot of these in the offseason, but Alabama and LSU have their spring games this weekend. Alabama has a legitimate quarterback competition between Jalen Milroe and Ty Simpson. LSU feels like they don't have a lot of questions among their starting lineup. It's more, what are we going to see in terms of development from Jaden Daniels or from people we saw last year? But what are we looking for out of these 2 spring games from the 2 teams that finished number 1 and number 2 in the SEC West last year?
Well, the Alabama answer is easy, right?
The QB. Well, okay,
yes.
I want to throw this at you guys because you and I were at the one game that Jalen Milroe started, the Texas A&M game when Bryce Young was hurt. I feel like I am unfairly judging him based on that game, whereas I have no frame of reference for Ty Simpson. It will just be what I see in the spring game on Saturday. And obviously, none of us are making the decision. Tommy Rees and Nick Saban will make that decision, and they've watched them throughout spring practice. But I do feel like I got to clear the Jalen Milroe playing in 2022 from my mind to watch this, so I can judge them equally.
So what do we see from Milroe? Like, incredibly great athlete, a little bit struggling in the passing
shaky
attack.
As a passer, but again, playing in an offense designed for Bryce Young, not for Jalen Milroe.
Yeah, I
being thrust into that situation.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like Texas A&M's D line was the problem last year. Like it was Texas A&M's offense that was the problem. So he was playing at some really good defensive players, and they made it hard on him. So
that's what makes the Miami thing so funny. Like the rumor, whether there's anything to it or not, it's like if that actually were to happen, or the fact that we're even having the discussion is like, what's wrong at Alabama is like the thing that I think about more than anything.
Right.
It's like if because if neither of them are working out, then that's kind of a pickle.
Right. That you don't do that unless you don't feel good about your situation. And again, we don't know if that's true or just a rumor.
Yeah.
But that's why
the first thing I thought of when I heard the rumor,
is,
makes no sense.
Yeah. But that's why all eyes will be on that, and we'll all parse through any post-game quotes, right? Like
oh my God.
Because you have that floating around. You already had someone not named a starter. Like that's what everyone's wondering. I mean, we've just seen a string of quarterbacks and different offensive coordinators have a great deal of success at Alabama. So the next one is always the one that we want to know, and we want to see who it is.
Yep.
But you guys are right. There's a lot of uncertainty and a lot of questions around it. And so I think that's the kind of storyline where that's something where you can actually maybe, hopefully, take something away from a spring game. I think in a lot of situations you can't, but I think in this one, you will be able to.
Yeah. Well, and then with LSU too, I saw Brody Miller on someone else's show, but I think he said that LSU might have the most complete offense this year. Doesn't mean it'll be the best one, but the most complete in terms of lack of glaring holes. And it's like, is LSU a team that could win or play for an SEC championship this year?
Well, and that's what I want to see from LSU in the spring game is just their depth, because front line, they're good. Like, they are good enough to not just compete for the SEC title, but win the SEC title, make the playoff, all that stuff. Do they have the depth so that if they lost Mason Smith last year in game 1, do they have the depth to be able to replace something like that? That's the question. And so if they do, then all of a sudden you're looking at them as not just a challenger for Alabama in the West, but a challenger for Georgia overall.
Right.
And I think that's really interesting. How are they going to use Harold Perkins? Miller's asking a question in the chat about, moving him inside. Does that keep him from rushing off the edge? I don't think they're going to telegraph how they're going to use Harold Perkins in the fall. If I had to guess, he's going to be all over the place because he's that good.
So good. I love Harold Perkins.
But yeah, I mean, he is. But Andy, I think you're right, because I think that is the question with LSU is that's the step, right? You're ahead of schedule in year 1. You achieve all these different things. You get someone like Jaden Daniels coming back. You see the pieces. So can you contend for an SEC championship? I mean, that's the question. And I'll be interested to see. I don't know how much of that we'll get in the spring game, but in terms of like individual player development and some flashy plays, sure.
Well, like when their twos are out there, are dudes flashing? That's or if you've got ones versus twos, are there plays where the twos are very competitive with the ones? That's going to be a really good sign for them if that's true. And we'll see. I mean, so far it feels like the hiring of Brian Kelly, they're getting what they're paying for, and they're paying a lot, but they're getting it so far. And if they can just develop some depth, good Lord, they could be a kind of year in, year out thing, which, once the SEC scheduling dynamic changes, I'm not sure how we're going to take that. I'm really not sure how that plays out long-term, because the West team schedules actually get easier when the divisions go away.
Right.
And then Georgia's road gets harder.
But you also have multiple teams making the playoff. So there'll be other ways to, the team that doesn't win the SEC could win it all regularly.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's absolutely. I mean, they could be sitting there with 3, maybe 4 teams in the playoff, and somebody comes up from below. It's going to be very interesting to see that, though, because it's maybe quicker than I thought. You knew that Brian Kelly was going to whip LSU into shape. I just didn't expect him to be able to do it as fast as he did. And then now they just kind of have to build on that. But Nicole, now it's time for the newest feature of the Andy Staples Show. We added this in a couple weeks ago, and I think it's going to become a longtime fixture. This is not like our stretching the Ass Clown rankings out for 24 minutes, which we'll never, ever, ever do again. And we're sorry about that. But this is the daily trivia I have enjoyed very much, and I feel like we can tailor categories to the guests, and the groups of animals conversation was fantastic. Our friend Brian Fremo, who does all the great points per drive and advanced stats, asked for us to create terms for groups of different football things. So I had like a tampering of transfers and a bureaucracy of conference commissioners. This was our quiver of cobras and murder of crows conversation or trivia last time. So, but this one, Nicole, you and several other of our coworkers, big Taylor Swift fans. In fact, you're all going to see her in LA. This is it's the most sports writer thing ever because
who's going?
Everybody's using Marriott points and airline miles.
Are you staying at the
Ritz? They sure are. No, we're not staying at the Ritz. Okay, so quick backstory. There definitely is a lot of overlap between sports writers and Taylor Swift fans, just like there is with like Bachelor fans. And so, we all know the debacle with Ticketmaster. It was really hard to get tickets. So I ended up getting a code and an ability to buy 6 tickets in LA. And despite all of the issues that day, like the West Coast sites, they delayed them, but we were able to get through. So I was able to get 6 tickets face value. In the group chat of everyone who else was trying to get Taylor Swift tickets, most of the people just raised their hand and said, I can't get through. Can I get one of your tickets? So it's a lot of athletic and former athletic folks. Everyone coming does not live in LA, and everyone going has ties to sports journalism. So outside of the athletic, it's one of my best friends, Ruby Edmondson. She works at Apple. Her husband's Greg Wyshynski, covers hockey for ESPN. So they're coming from New York. Then from the athletic, it's me. We've got Audrey Snyder coming from State College.
Our esteemed
Peter
Penn
Baugh,
State beat writer. Yeah.
Penn State beat writer. Peter Baugh, who now covers the Avalanche for us. We covered Mizzou.
Peter's going.
You want to come, Ari?
Peter.
You want to come?
You know what? The thing I don't know is, like, isn't the resale value of these tickets like 13 or 14 times more than you paid for them? Like, I would feel bad eating up a
No, I want to go.
No, I would feel bad eating up a ticket when I don't appreciate the artist.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
All right, and the last person to come is Lindsay Jones. So she was one of our NFL writers. She now is at The Ringer, but it's all sports writers from all over the country who are using points and miles, staying at Marriott properties to come see Taylor Swift at SoFi. So very excited about it. And and just so everyone knows, because we know that Grace Rayner is a big Swiftie, she is going to see her in Atlanta this month. So don't worry. The other people are covered. Max Olson's going to see her elsewhere. Like, everyone's covered, but that is our crew that will be going in August to SoFi.
That is outstanding. So,
and we all use Marriott points for the hotel too.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah. What else are they for?
I very much enjoy Taylor Swift. It is, and getting to listen to her with my daughter is a lot of fun because she's a big fan. Ari, not a big Taylor Swift fan yet. When his daughter's old enough, I'm sure she will be. So just be ready for that. What we're doing is we're going to read the lyric, and then whoever knows it, name the song. Ari, I'm going to start. This one's just for you because I think you can get this one.
Okay.
S-O fresh and double O-P D-O-double-G-Y-D-O-double-G-U-C. Which Taylor Swift song is that from?
It's one with Snoop Dogg in it.
No, it is from Nothing But a G Thing. I just wanted to make sure you were listening.
Oh yeah,
so,
I didn't know if there was like a featured.
There is not.
Now Kendrick Lamar does a verse on the remix of what's the one with the whole squad in the video? Why am I blanking on the name of that song? But Kendrick has a verse in one of Taylor Swift's songs, but I don't believe she's ever collaborated with. With Snoop
I think
Dogg,
I can. Okay, I'm gonna ask you guys mine. Okay.
Okay, go for it.
All right, Nicole, ready? What song is this from? And I know they're gonna hate, and I know I'm gonna shake.
Only one.
Shake it off. Woo-hoo.
You don't have to sing it. It actually makes it harder if you don't sing it. But
I'm glad you sang it. Thank you, Ari. I'm also glad you picked a part of the song that says the name of it.
Says the name of the song.
And it's the one song that you knew. You said you knew before this.
How do you not environmentally encounter a lot of Taylor Swift songs?
He has.
I'm sure I have. I just don't recognize it because I'm not aware of it.
It's in his brain.
Okay, and Nicole, what's this? I'm still a believer, but I don't know why. I've never been a natural. All I do is try. I'm still on the trapeze. I'm still trying everything to keep you looking at me.
Oh, this is from Folklore. It's oh my god, what? Mirrorball.
That's correct.
Wow, that is.
I don't.
Awesome.
That is my least favorite song on that album. So I do not listen to it very often.
All of mine are hits. I didn't go for any deep cuts. So this was probably a mistake.
This woman here is flying across the country with all of my friends to go see this. She's not getting a layup.
But I want to make it. I want to make it approachable for the listener. Matthew C says this trivia is super lame. So were you, Matthew? I'm sorry. This is great trivia. All right,
dude. I thought Matthew was usually positive in the chat.
Well, maybe he doesn't like Taylor Swift. Maybe
he's just having a bad day.
Who doesn't think people should be talking about Taylor Swift on a college football podcast?
People either love or hate her, so that's fair. That's fair.
What's the hate about her? I just, I don't know.
That she's super good at what she does. People seem to not like when people.
But the thing about her is that she's actually like a nice, good person, right? Like that's like.
I don't know.
Unless you're her boyfriend, know that. Those guys seem to get chewed up and spit out. So
it sounds like they deserve. Right. Andy, they deserve it.
They get eviscerated in song, and we're only hearing one side of the story. So I don't know. But she does say it's the problem. I'm the problem. It's me. So
yeah. You would at least have recognized that lyric, right?
I'm the problem. It's me.
I'm the problem. It's me.
That just sounds like an argument between me and my wife. I'm the problem. It's me. That's what I say.
It's from a song called Anti-Hero. It's one of her newer ones, and it's
being played all over. I'm sure you've heard it.
Yes. Okay, I'm gonna mute you guys, and I'm gonna go listen to it while you ask her the next one.
Okay, here we go, Nicole. So I'm going. Well, I'm not even going to give you any clues because this is you went so deep on the deep cut. This is going to be too easy for you. Flash forward, and we're taking on the world together. And there's a drawer of my things at your place. You learn my secrets, and you figure out why I'm guarded. You say we'll never make my parents' mistakes.
Oh shoot, I know the song.
This is back in the country days.
Before she sold out.
She was more sold out as a country artist than she is now.
You see Nicole's face.
I'm trying to think.
But I said before she sold out, you were like,
I can't believe I got you with one.
I know the lyric. Hang on, I gotta at least look at the names of the songs. I think we're in red. Are we in the red era?
I believe it's Speak Now.
Speak Now. Okay. All right. Let me look at this. Is it The Story of Us?
No, but very close.
Oh, back to December?
Nope. You are the best thing that's ever been mine.
Oh,
mine.
So close. So close. Okay.
Yeah.
That was bad.
It's tough.
That was a mistake.
Tough because the country era Taylor Swift songs kind of do run together because they did have a very similar sound. Love Story would be too easy. But look, AC/DC made like the same song over and over, but it was an awesome song. So I'm okay with that.
Okay.
All right, here we go.
Am I doing one?
Oh, yeah. Hit me with one, Nicole. Or
you can't look anything up. It has to go straight from memory.
No, that's not true.
Nope. You have to hold your hands up here.
Hands
so
up.
Not looking anything up.
Okay. And you'll add my name to your long list of traitors who don't understand. And I look back and regret how I ignored when they said, run as fast as you can.
Oh, no.
It's hard. We need to get Ari singing.
It is hard. Because if you don't hear them in context.
Mm-hmm.
Say it again.
And you'll add my name to your long list of traitors who don't understand. And I look back and regret how I ignored when they said, run as fast as you can.
See, I was.
Anything good ever happened to this person?
For a second, I thought it was going to be the Lonely Starbucks Lovers from Blank Space. And I still believe she says Lonely Starbucks Lovers. So
she just went through another breakup, right?
Yeah.
Are these the songs from that breakup?
No,
the music's going to be
old.
awesome.
This is older as well. Yeah, the music is going to be good.
Oh, Matthew says Taylor's overrated and most all modern music is garbage and music mostly died when Kurt Cobain did, which was almost 30 years ago. So it's all sucked since then, apparently.
At least that's a consistent take. I respect that. All right, Andy, you give up?
I give up.
Dear John, that is one of her
to John Mayer.
Lethal breakup songs. That one's about John Mayer. She absolutely eviscerated him in that one.
All right. Well, I'm going to give you a layup then, since we're talking about breakup songs. You who charm my dad with self-effacing jokes, sipping coffee like you're on a late night show. But when you watched me watch The Front Door all night, willing you to come, and he said, it's supposed to be fun turning 21.
Shake it off.
Well, first of all, I'm going to be specific here. This is the all too well 10-minute version.
Thank you.
One of the new verses. Great song.
I love a song that tells a story. And Jake Gyllenhaal sounds like the most awful person in the world. I'm sure if I met him, I'd think he was quite lovely. But if he really stood up this girl on her 21st birthday, holy crap.
In all these songs, we know who she's singing about?
There's enough context clues on a couple of the bank. So like the one I just did was called Dear John. So John Mayer was who she dated when she was 19. There was like some specific details. But yeah, Jake Gyllenhaal, I think All Too Well is the greatest breakup song ever. And he is the subject. And his sister and they've been asked about this many times over the years, and they hate it. So please continue to interview them and ask them about
can I just say something? And I've never met Taylor and I've never met any of her partners, but as the great philosopher Bobby Wasserman once said,
oh boy,
when does it stop being a coincidence? Like, hey, there's one common denominator with all these issues, and I think it's her. Okay,
Ari, you need to
I'm
listen
the problem.
to Anti-Hero.
It's me.
Yeah, this is the Anti-Hero song is exactly what you want from her.
Okay,
now,
just to own up to the fact that she's the problem.
Yeah,
the
she says,
breakup.
"Hi, I'm the problem.
I'm
it's
the problem.
Me.
It's me."
All Too Well may be among the greatest breakup songs. The greatest line from a breakup song ever, though, Sail On by the Commodores, I'm giving you back your name. That is just destroying someone in one sentence. Destroying someone. Actually, well, Hit 'Em Up's probably the greatest. Well, No Vaseline is actually a breakup song, if we think about it. That is the NWA breakup song. So Ari knows that one. He knows all the words to that one.
But Beyonce had one of the best music videos of all time.
You talking about Lemonade? They didn't break up.
I was just making a joke about when Kanye interrupted Taylor Swift at that award show.
Oh, yes.
That's what he said.
Right.
He got up to the.
I'm going to let you finish, Ari. I'm going to let
you finish. But Beyonce had one of the greatest videos of all time.
All right. You got one more for me, Nicole?
Yes, I do. Okay. He's so tall and handsome as hell. He's so bad, but he does it so well. And when we've had our very last kiss, my last request is say you'll remember me standing in a nice dress, staring at the sunset, babe.
Oh, Nicole, I know that song. Staring in a nice dress, staring in the sunset.
Nicole knows I hate
that song.
Nicole knows I hate the nice dress part of this because everything else about it is so specific, and nice is such a generic adjective. So it's Wildest Dreams, and it drives me insane. I was listening to it just the other day. I'm like, why can't it be a black dress? Why can't it be a red dress? Why does it have to be a nice dress? And my wife, who's heard this rant probably too many times, goes, because you're not a girl. Like, there is something specific to a nice dress. Like when I was a teenager.
There is. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I think I agree with both.
Cheeks.
See, right? You know Taylor.
Look at you do.
Staring in a nice dress, looking at.
All right, I got one more for you, Nicole, because 1989 is my favorite album, and so we just had a 1989 song.
That's why I picked that song for you. Yes.
All right, this is one I heard the other day that I hadn't heard in a while. I was like, oh my god, that's on 1989 too. Because baby, I could build a castle out of all the bricks they threw at me. And every day is like a battle, but every night with us is like a dream. This is not a song you think about, and then when you hear it, you're like, this slaps.
And maybe it's one of the. Is it I Know Places?
Nope.
No.
It is on 1989
though. Bricks. Is it All You Had to Do Was Stay? No, it's not.
Nope.
All right, I give up.
New Romantics. Everybody go listen to New Romantics. It is a great song, and it's not. You're giving me a
bonus track, a deluxe edition bonus track.
I mean, are you a fan or not?
Listen, I think you got to get Grace Rayner on here, okay? She'll know all the deep cuts.
Is it like?
Listen,
yeah, like
I didn't think that was a deep cut. That got played on the radio.
Okay, but I didn't listen to that when I listened to 1989. I had the original album.
That's why. Okay. All right. Well, I cannot wait. I feel like we've helped prepare you for your trip to LA, Nicole.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very disappointed in my own performance here. So hopefully I don't get the tickets revoked. What if I got an email from Ticketmaster being like, you don't deserve these tickets anymore?
Yeah, that's right. You're fired.
I just sell them on StockX.
It'd be like Dan Snyder. No, it'd be like Dan Snyder having to sell the Commanders. Like you'd have to sell the tickets, but then you'd make a giant profit.
Well,
it's all good.
Babe. Kick up
it's
in
a great
rosy
song.
cheeks. Is Rosy Cheeks in it?
Yes.
Red lips and rosy cheeks.
Red lips and
Staring
rosy
at the sunset,
cheeks.
babe.
Staring at the sunset, babe.
And with that, Ari will sing you into the weekend.
I've been called the songbird of our generation.
You have. We'll be back talking about spring games from this weekend, and then we'll help get you ready for the NFL draft. It's going to be a fun week ahead. But first, enjoy your weekend. Enjoy the Alabama quarterback competition, and enjoy the stylings of Ari Wasserman. Ari, sing us out, please.
My brother came all the way from Scottsdale, Arizona to hear you sing. These eyes have seen a lot of love, but I'm never going to see another love like I had with you.